Learning more about the birthplace of Maserati Shells, I wanted to know more about his relocation from Texas to California. How'd he find it fitting in, mixing in with different cultures, people to relate to? I can imagine it being quite a culture shock. I'm quite familiar with that myself.
It's like taking a picture and flipping it to a negative. So imagine going to school with all black teachers, all black principals, all black students, and maybe like one or two Mexicans, to you being the only nigga, no black teachers, no black principals, no one who identifies with you, because in the 90s, I was like one of the first blacks in my class. So every elementary, middle school, and high school I went to in Orange County, I got kicked out for fighting, because I just had a sense of pride about me. I always knew I was a black man. I always knew what was going against me because I was raised that way. Like, this was going against you in the real world. It wasn't nothing sugar-coated to me. So I would always be fighting, but then at a certain point, I met some good people. It was like I had a lot of good white friends and a lot of people, Mexican friends. It's like, nah, not everybody's like that. And it was good because once I started seeing the difference I was learning, because when I would go back home for the summer in Texas, it was like, I felt like they was a little slower than me. Like, oh, they not even up on this. Music-wise, fashion-wise, knowledge-wise. So then I started embracing it. And then once I stopped going back to Texas for the summer, I was like, I'm from Anaheim. I'm from Anaheim. You know, my mama's still living in Anaheim.
When you was in Texas and then you moved here, was you already kind of used to being around different cultures of people?
Nah, never. I just knew nigga culture. I knew only if I ever seen something, okay, put it like this. What I knew about Asians was Bruce Lee. I didn't know what a Samoan was. I didn't know what a Hindu was. Don't get me wrong, I watched Indiana Jones, and I was like, man, maybe this is some light-skinned niggas. I seen movies, you feel me? But all I knew was white and black. I knew I was black. White people don't fuck with us. They on that side of town. We don't fuck with them. I didn't know a lot of different culture. I never tried Chinese food. I never tried Filipino food. I like none of that shit, nigga. What I knew was Church's Chicken and pot pies and a fish shack and a barbecue. I don't know why I thought like this so young. You gonna respect me as a black man. That was my whole first get up. But then I capitalized on being more athletic, being more street, like being more aggressive. Like, man, shut up, we're gonna do this. Because they were so in awe of my blackness. They was in awe of me being black. You gotta remember, some of these kids had never seen a nigga. So they like, oh, this is the black kid. And I had a friendly persona. My name was Shelton. I was respectful, yes ma'am, no ma'am. But when we were away from the parents, like, this is what we gonna do. This is what we gonna do. I never really cursed a lot because my mom don't curse. I never, my mom and my grandmother are educated, they along the line, they got the degree, so that kind of played a role in the house. So it was a culture shock in the fact of the freedom some of these kids had. Like, I remember being 9 years old in Anaheim, catching a bus to go to the beach. Just by myself with a boogie board and my little white friend, like, man, but what the fuck is we doing? But then the culture shock was also like, one of my good friends to this day, Mike Lambiot, I remember he said, let me come spend at his house. I had never been in a mobile home before. This is my first time. I'm thinking a mobile home is like a mini mansion. I'm like, damn, this motherfucker dope. And I remember we used to play WWE, WWF, little wrestle. Remember the little rings you could make Blake wrestle? We used to do that and try moves on each other and shit. I remember one day he was like, hey, I'm gonna give you my Nintendo because we're gonna get a Super Nintendo. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, I'm gonna give you my Nintendo. Tell my mom to the school, she likes you. So I tell the mom, like, they give it to me. I said, look, before you take me home, you gotta let my mom know that you gave me this. Cause she's gonna think I stole this. She was like, no, I'll tell her. And so my mom was like, you sure? And that's when I realized that everybody wasn't the same, that it wasn't no pity. It wasn't gonna get played with. They're like, you do it, you want it? And the crazy thing about it, I never even played that Nintendo. I didn't like Nintendo. I gave it to my family. But I noticed it was some good people, and I know that it stuck in my mind that people don't understand certain stuff, so sometimes you might be the first representation of that, and it falls on you to kind of like show them, like, you know what? This is what it is, and we're not all the same, just like y'all not all the same. Because you understand, if a white person never grew up around a black person, they're going what their parents say or what TV says is how black people act, and vice versa. Because I thought all white people didn't like us from roots on to whatever I see. Oh, they don't like niggas. Rodney King, they don't like niggas. And it wasn't necessarily true.